I'm Matt Goldberg with Collider.com. I'm here in Portland, Oregon at Laika for their new film, The Boxtrolls. I'm going to be talking to some of the creative, talented people behind this excellent film.
Well, it all started with a book called Here Be Monsters, written by Alan Snow. I read Alan's book nearly 10 years ago and was captivated from the first page. It was this incredible blend of Roald Dahl and Charles Dickens and Monty Python. It had, interesting sociological things that it was exploring, and it did it with such an incredible biting sense of humor. It had this caustic wit that was just so wonderful, and I thought that if we could channel that into a film somehow, because it was a big 500-page book, if we could somehow find a film story within that, we'd have something that was really unique and really special.
One of the ways that Brian is able to achieve such a great range of expression is that he splits the faces down the center. So the mouth portion and the upper portion of the face, they'll be snapped on separately.
You know, when we make a puppet, we have to think about from the inside out. So we're looking at a character design, but we're problem solving how that character design is going to move and perform. Because to make a puppet for stop motion animation, they have to have an internal skeleton that can be moved frame by frame.
Underneath here, there's also armature that goes underneath the costume. So I'm going to tip her upside down. It's a very ungracious position for poor Winnie. But you can see under here, there's some metal petals that are attached to an armature around her waist. So when she walks, there's a follow-through that the animators can control on her skirt, so it can be positioned, and it looks like it's kind of bobbing as she walks.
First thing we would ask the director is, do you want our stomach to move? And the first thing the director says, of course we do. So he has a gear inside him. The animator would access it through the back of his costume, and that gear is actually a guitar gear. With a turn of an Allen key, his stomach moves up and down, so there's a mechanism in there. Without question, at least on our side, the most challenging, and it's difficult to say that I was actually anxious or looking forward to it, because it was extremely difficult, but was the ballroom dancing scene. When we first saw the storyboards for that, we were, goodness gracious, how are we going to do that? How are we going to make floating ball gowns look like floating ball gowns in stop motion? Because stop motion is the action of moving a puppet frame by frame. Something like that in stop motion animation, it's never been achieved before on this level. To create our ball gowns, just like the crinoline skirts that the ladies actually wore, we created metal jointed crinoline skirts, which are on these sort of heavy rigs that you never really see, but this allows you to get, when you actually move these puppets, you get all of the twist that you would with a skirt. And what we were up against in terms of the number of characters, the choreography of the scene, what the practical characters that actually need to be essentially bolted down to the set frame by frame by frame, tearing the set apart, all of which needs to be repaired digitally. In addition to the fact that there's no way we were going to have enough puppets to be able to do that. We do live action shoots actually for some of the sequences with markers on, so that when the animators come to animate, they can follow a human movement. And they do their own live action videos as well. We've got lots of silly footage of animators jumping around pretending to be Winnie.
One of the things I love about this film is that the Boxtrolls are artists, they're builders. Did you feel a kinship with these characters as they were developed? They're tinkerers. They come up with such cool stuff.
We found kinship in a fairly unpleasant way. We saw a lot of ourselves in the Boxtrolls. These creatures that have deplorable personal hygiene, questionable fashion sense. They play around in the dark all day long. They have no social graces. So there's a lot of animator in the Boxtroll.
Sometimes there's a mother. Sometimes there's a father. Sometimes there's a father and a father. Sometimes both fathers are mothers. Sometimes there's a mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, weird aunties with funny hats, a butler, and old uncles who do nothing but eat rare, smelly cheese.
Rare. Smelly.
And sometimes there's no one at all. But sometimes there are boxes. Families come in all shapes and sizes, even rectangles.